welcome back to the Mark Workman Show and the Pioneer Mind podcast. Just excited to have another episode here. This is our Thursday regular show. We're kind of getting close on our name, maybe well within. That's really our goal, is for everyone to be well within and whole. So we're really wanting to encourage that. So again, these shows have been just really well received and just a ton of great feedback. And we're just excited. Kathy and I, both of us, are just excited that it's maybe encouraging people, helping people along the way that maybe they, just didn't have the right encouragement. So we're just excited that the show might be doing that. We thank you today. Today's going to be a big one. This is a big show, really important topic. It's probably one where we could do multiple episodes over and over again with different aspects and looking from just different directions. But today's show, we're going to be focusing on cholesterol and how insulin resistance affects that. And it's just amazing, again, powerful. And I'll just stay up front, not trying to steal anyone's thunder, but cholesterol has been, identified as the enemy, but when the body needs it, uses it, has an application within, our liver, and all our body operates using cholesterol. And what has happened is insulin resistance, and our diet, and this is a more recent thing in the last 56 years, has interrupted that natural process. So just an important subject, and we're just excited to talk about it. So we're going to jump right in. We're not going to fool around, because we don't want to take a lot of your time. We always want to be watching our time, and we can just make another episode if we need to do that. So welcome back, Kathy, and thanks for coming, and just glad to have you. You've done a lot of research. We've both been doing a lot of reading, but you're really the expert just in our previous discussion, just as the show started. It's amazing how much you've kind of learned about this subject. So thanks for coming. And we're going to talk cholesterol, but you want to start with kind of the basic problem wheel we always talk about, and how it leads to the cholesterol.
Sure. I really like what you said, that well within, and I've used those terms before. And I think in our society, we're so focused on externals and the outside that we forget to look under the hood. And that's what really got me excited about this metabolic health, is understanding what's going on under the hood. So we'll go right into the problem real quick. The problem is obviously 93% of Americans, and really worldwide, we're dealing with obesity, diabetes, cancer, PCOS, fatty liver, heart disease, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, migraines, erectile dysfunction, neuropathy. All of these things were broken into different body parts. And then if you go into the doctor, they're going to give you a specialist. That specialist is going to give you a pill to manage the symptoms. They're never telling you they're going to fix the problem. But if you look on this chart, you'll see insulin resistance is the hub. And so if we can just shoot at the target, we'll get rid of a lot of these other problems. When you look at all these chronic diseases and recognize that we ate ourselves into the mess, it's a lifestyle issue, we can also eat ourselves out of it. And like we've said before, if you have one kid in a class that's struggling and failing, then you might blame the kid. But when you have the whole classroom failing, then we got to reevaluate the classroom. And so when 93% of adults are metabolically unhealthy, and we're seeing it transfer more and more into our children, we've got to look at some things. So with this problem, some other of the symptoms are, your belly fat, skin tags. All of these little things should be little warnings on our dashboard telling us, hey, something's wrong. I've got chronic inflammation. I have high cholesterol, sleep apnea, high blood sugar, and constant cravings. So we're going to talk today about high cholesterol. That's kind of the big buzz. We got 67 million people on statins because they have high cholesterol. Cholesterol really wasn't an issue until the 80s, when they developed and found a pill that could lower cholesterol. You could have 200, 300, 400, 600 cholesterol, and it wasn't an issue because they didn't have something to fix it. But we actually know that the people with highest cholesterol actually have the longest life expectancy. So that's kind of an interesting oxymoron. So today we're going to talk about, as we talk about cholesterol, that's going to impact your blood pressure, heart disease, fatty liver. Those are some of the top things that cholesterol is going to impact.
So one of my first questions is I kind of know the answer a little bit just from trying to do my own study, but because I think it's kind of a mystery. what cholesterol is. So what is it? Let's just start there. Let's start with what cholesterol is,
Okay.
and maybe lead into what it does in the body and it's how important its role is.
Sure. And I think, again, cholesterol has been pegged. You'll see foods that say no cholesterol. Well, cholesterol is not in pasta. It's not in your grains. It isn't in the plant-based things. Cholesterol is, let's start at what is it for? God made it in our bodies. Most of your brain is cholesterol. And cholesterol is the construction material that builds every single one of our cells. So it's an important ingredient that God added. It wasn't like, oops, added a little too much cholesterol. Sorry, dude, you're going to have to take a pharmaceutical to fix it. That's kind of how silly it is. So when you think of it, cholesterol is actually part of our building substance. It's like foundational to so many different things.
Right. So what is it? So you just talked about kind of what it's doing with the cells and that kind of thing. So it's important. And it's not necessarily in food, but it's in some foods.
Right.
But it's what percentage of foods?
So your liver makes all the cholesterol that you need. So 80% of our cholesterol is made in the liver.
Gotcha.
Okay. 20% is imported into our bodies through our mouth in what we're eating. And that would be in your eggs, your meat, your animal products, your dairies. Some of those is where we would be getting some of that other cholesterol. Again, you have to have cholesterol in order to produce your proper hormones, your estrogen, your testosterone, and all those sorts of things. So when we keep lowering our cholesterol, we're really lowering our body's ability to build the healthy things that we need. You have to have cholesterol for your body to be able to convert sunshine into vitamin D. How many of us have been diagnosed with low vitamin D? And all of these things just have started coming out when they started lowering our cholesterol.
Yeah, so what you're saying then is that cholesterol is a natural process occurring within our bodies, and what's happened is the diet onset of processed foods, sugars, not having the proper balances with all of that has now interrupted the natural process the body has always done.
Yes.
And then we go to an outside source, an external, to find an answer when really it's really our diet again.
Yeah, it's all diet related, which is great news.
Interesting.
Because we have power. We can change things. If we know, like I always say, if you can name the game, then you have a choice to whether you want to play it. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the delivery trucks. So when we're talking about cholesterol, we talk about good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Well, there's different jobs. So the LDLs are the delivery trucks. So cholesterol is a waxy, fatty product, and your blood is mostly water. So blood and or oil and water don't mix.
Gotcha.
So we create a lipoprotein or a lipoprotein delivery truck. And this truck is going to deliver all of this building material to the cells. Okay. Then we have the HDL. That's the high density lipoproteins, and you think of them as the garbage truck. So now we have a delivery truck taking all of the materials that you need to build your house to the house. Okay. The house is building. And as anytime you build a house, there's usually a great big dumpster out back, right?
Right.
Well, if they brought in this tiny little trash can and we're trying to fill that trash can and it overflows, what's it do? It blows into the neighbor's yard. It flows into all that extra garbage goes. And that's the same that's happening in our body. When your LDLs and your HDLs aren't balanced out, we have more garbage than we do garbage trucks.
Okay.
And that creates triglycerides. And so when we get too much garbage in the blood, the liver starts pumping out all this extra fat cells, or the triglycerides or garbage, into the bloodstream. And that's a dangerous place for your body to be. So when you go in and they go, oh, your triglycerides are way high. Well, they are way high because we don't have enough garbage trucks to haul the garbage out. So getting that balance is what we want to do. What happens is your doctor's going to put you on a statin, which is going to lower your LDLs, but we still have a lot of excess garbage going on in there, and they're happy because your numbers came down, but you're still having a lot of internal issues. And with all that extra garbage still floating through your system, your arteries are inflamed, And when the arteries are inflamed, then the LDLs go, oh boy, we need to get in there and fill the clogs. So they start getting sticky and fill the clogs. And if any of those clogs break loose into the bloodstream and it goes to your brain, that would be called a stroke. If those clogs break loose and go into your bloodstream and go to your heart, that's called a heart attack. So that's the difference between those two.
So that's why cardiovascular is on the problem loop we always refer to.
Yes.
And even that's a response to cholesterol maybe being interrupted from its natural processes to do its job. I mean, so it's crazy when you start talking about this stuff, because one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next. It's just chain reaction, isn't it?
Well, I think of it as like a weighted scale, and the goal is to keep this scale balanced. And our body tries to do that. It's called homeostasis.
Sure.
We don't always want to be losing weight. We don't want to be gaining weight. We want to be in this place of homeostasis. And your body is so brilliant at balancing it out. So let's say 100 years ago, when Grandma and Grandpa were eating eggs and bacon and all of those things, and they were a lot more active, your body was balancing it out. We didn't have a lot of those same issues. Now that we've added so much processed food, taken out the healthy fibers, added the seed oils, and you're not a cell in your body can use any of the seed oils. So those go right to the liver, and that creates a lot of inflammation and a lot of extra garbage.
Yeah, what's interesting, though, is when you think about this, and just thinking of my comment on the chain reaction thing, is that a lot of times we're dealing with the last thing, meaning the heart issue or the cholesterol, the last thing, and there's 4 things ahead of that have led to this.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So really we need to go back to the root and talk about diet. You know, everything that you're focused on with what you're trying to encourage is, if people can go back and look at what they're eating, how they're eating, when they're eating, right? There's all these factors in terms of our diet. The things down the road that we're working on, this last thing, kind of get taken care of because we went back to the root.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can understand the workings of what's going on internally, then you can make some changes and go, okay, so let's get some more garbage trucks in here, which is raising our HDL, and that'll get the garbage leveled out. But we also need to figure out, how do we stop adding more garbage? I mean, your body's not just making garbage, we're consuming garbage.
Sure.
And that's, again, the seed oils are a huge part of that piece, because, again, they're piling up in the liver and they were never meant to be used as energy.
When did seed oils come on the scene? Is this recent, or is this 20 years ago? Is this, because
it was back when they demonized fats. So I'm guessing it was in the 70s and 80s, and then they started demonizing the fats and, don't eat cholesterol, don't eat eggs, it causes high cholesterol, quit eating butter, all of those things. And when we drop our natural amount, your body starts making more. So when, we're eating all these low cholesterol things, and then the seed oils that are basically just clogging up the process of the machine. And so now we're just clogged.
Yeah. So we have decided, we know what it is now, and go into more of what it's for. You talked about how it helps every cell, right? You talked about how, and it's what's it doing? Building the strength of the cell. What's it doing, I guess? Yeah,
it's building the structure of the walls. Let's just say it would be like your 2x4s that are going to hold your walls in place. You can't just put sheetrock up. You got to have some 2x4s to nail them to. So your cholesterol is giving stability to those cells. We can't live without it. Like I said, God didn't go, oops, I put too much in there. He put it in there perfectly, and your body knows how much to make. So your liver will make what you need. We don't necessarily need to consume it, but it does come in with, the eggs and those sorts of things. And so that's why those were demonized. But when we have our triglycerides, if you divide your triglycerides by your HDLs, that's basically how much garbage do I have? How many garbage trucks do I have? We want the ratio to be right. And when that happens, your body will naturally balance those things out.
So you think about 2x4s in a good construction on a home, using your analogy. If the cell membranes are strengthened by cholesterol and maintained, and that imbalance occurs, now your cell membranes are weakened and probably way more susceptible to disease.
Exactly.
So that's when you see a disease onset because, again, our processes have been interrupted by insulin resistance, our diet, and we get down to this road of cholesterol, and it shows up in other ways, right?
Yeah, and here's another great visual. So if you think about the electrical wiring behind the scene here, your electrical wiring is covered with a plastic coating,
Gotcha.
right? That's called the myelin sheath, which is cholesterol, helps build that myelin sheath. So if our cholesterol is low, that coating starts clearing off. Now all of a sudden we're having shorts where our brain isn't able to communicate with the rest of our body. I mean, the whole communication system starts breaking down. And so that's also another big important part of the cholesterol is building those that myelin sheath.
Yeah, well, that's a great analogy. I mean, I can see that when in my brain, what a great analogy.
Yeah.
So you want to get to the solution in terms of, let's talk about the solution.
Can we take it right back to, again, the center of the problem? And like I said, if we can target insulin resistance and we understand what insulin resistance is, I want to just give a real quick recap of what insulin resistance is, because we hear these buzzwords, but I know I needed to hear it over and over and over. And so I want to make sure people understand what insulin resistance is. Insulin is the number one hormone of the body. We're going to call insulin the electrician of the body. And it's the job of insulin to get power to the whole house, from your attic down to the basement. Your pancreas is the regulator on how much insulin your body needs based on what you're consuming to clean it and clean that energy and get it into all of the cells. All right. But because of our lifestyle and we're eating all of the time, we're eating high sugar things, high grains, all converting to sugar. Insulin, then your pancreas has to make more and more insulin to get that energy into the cells. Well, the cells get full and they get tight. And when that happens, that's called insulin resistance. Those cells are resistant to the insulin. So now you got insulin going, okay, what are we going to do with all this extra energy? Well, let's build some storage units. So now we're putting on the visceral fat. It's around our organs. We're, all over the body, or it's storing it in the liver. Now we got fatty liver. 1 in 4 adults has that. Children are showing up with a fatty liver. When you can connect it all back to our lifestyle and the things that we're eating, it's no wonder. And even when we're trying to be careful and think, oh, I'm not eating any sugar, it's in there. So that insulin resistance is what we want to bring, let the pancreas rest, bring the insulin down, and we do that with intermittent fasting, let the body self-regulate and do what God designed it to do. I think it's beautiful.
And if you start there, you're moving into a situation where now your cholesterol has to change too, and you really haven't done anything.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Well, you've done some things, but yeah.
Well, I'm just
and
saying.
we got a great testimony. Shannon has an amazing testimony, and she's a woman was a competitive athlete her whole life. And do we want to talk about the solution now?
Let's do the solution.
I'm going to talk about the solution and how then the testimony will be what the solution did for Shannon. So the solution that we have here is it's a really simple protocol of 2 T's and a balance. And it's clinically studied and tested. The Cleveland Clinic has done multiple studies on it. It is health savings approved. So if you got a health savings, it'll pay for that. It is an actual nutraceutical. It's been studied that the ingredients in it are balanced out. So I always talk about how I open a drawer of pills and I start taking them like jelly beans, going, oh, these are good for me. Well, this nutraceutical has them balanced out into the proper amount to where they're going to work synergetically together to actually bring healing.
Well, to differentiate between a pharmaceutical with is something man has made synthetically through testing and their trials and all the things, it's not a natural product. Where a nutraceutical is a natural occurring product that solves a problem.
Sure.
So, but it's natural.
Yeah. And natural products don't bring about side effects. The side effects always come from making something synthetic. The problem with a natural thing is you can't patent something that comes in nature. That's why the pharmaceuticals want to take the properties of what they know is a natural thing but they make it synthetic so they can market it and sell it.
Yeah.
That's and patent it. So
Yeah, and I think it's important to differentiate that, because when you hear nutraceutical, that's, it's almost a fad term in some ways, but when you really dig into what it means, it's actually a pretty powerful thing. Basically, the earth, or, wherever you say the source of God or whatever, has produced something that can help us in a big way, and we don't have to go and have it processed and synthesized and shot into our arm or whatever we're doing. It's natural.
Right. And that's what excited me about this product, especially on the rise of the GLP-1s. People are willing to do unhealthy things trying to get healthy because they think they're dealing with the problem is obesity. That's a symptom of a bigger problem, but they're not addressing the root problem. So they might lose the weight, but they're also losing muscle mass. They're not learning to eat properly. Their blood sugars can still be whacked out. And so to me, it was a bigger thing. And so this excites me to be able to help people understand, do the educational classes, educate people, myself, just learning more of what's going on under the hood. It's like being your own mechanic.
Yeah. Well, I again, mentioning weight loss, which, you're going to get into the solution with Unicity, and you started on that, it's really not a weight loss program. It's a lifestyle change program that leads to weight loss. Like you just mentioned weight loss. Well, everyone sees that as the problem they got to take care of. But again, it's a chain reaction of probably 6 to 8 things up the line, right? That led to this. And we're not taking care of those.
And that's what I was saying about the well within. We need to look within, because out externally, I'm like, okay, let's get the weight off. The weight is not the problem. Let's get well within and the weight will come off. Right. So we've always kind of flipping things, like the food pyramid is totally upside down. That external, let's get the external taken care of, and then whatever damage it's doing to me, I'll deal with that later. No. Let's get well within, and all these other things start falling off. And it's really quite amazing.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'll put up the solution and let's talk about that.
Okay, so I was just talking about the solution. Yeah. The solution is in your physician's desk reference. It's or the PDR is what they call it. It's the physician's digital reference. But basically, it because it's a nutraceutical, not a pharmaceutical, they're not making a lot of money with it. So most of physicians don't know about it. So if you want to talk to your doctor about it, have him look it up. It's right there available, and it's really just three simple little products. We've got 2 teas. And it's made out of a yerba mate tea from Argentina. The way they process it, it makes it 375 times stronger. And that's what makes it a nutraceutical. And then by simply adding fiber back into your diet, and we talked last week about you can't just add one source of fiber, like your Metamucil is one source of fiber. It's not feeding the whole zoo. You really want to be able to have a variety of soluble, insoluble fibers. So they feed the gut biome, actually healing the gut. And when we heal the gut, we actually heal the brain. There's a brain-gut connection because 90% of our serotonin is made in the gut. And so many of us have gut issues because of medications, and the poor food that we're eating has damaged that. So we got leaky gut going on. You'll see a lot of people with Crohn's, younger and younger people dealing with anxiety, depression, Crohn's, IBS, all of those things, infertility, things that we didn't see a number of years ago, but because we're in this same food environment, we're seeing it progressing faster and faster. And that's the big concern.
Yeah. And I would just say for me, like as a testimony that, I do this is I focus heavily on the fiber in terms of the balance part of it, because of the one, I can't remember the doctor's name that did the whole show on the balance and the fiber and how it builds the gut. I know for a fact that I don't know if it's leaky gut or whatever, but I took antibiotics quite heavily, 16 to 21, that kind of thing, for acne, believe it or not. And that's really when a lot of problems for me started with my skin. I dealt with that. I was told I had some sort of fungus, and I found out later I had, just dry skin, psoriasis, and all that comes from inflammation, and it comes out in the skin and all that. And I'm almost sure all of that started with heavy doses of antibiotics when I was a teenager. So for me, the focus on the balance, I love the Unimante, all the flavors, all those kind of do that as well.
Yep.
But for me, the balance has been really critical in the sense of just my own health. I know it's helping me rebuild that internal gut problem that I probably had all my life.
Well, and let's back you up to a teenager. You got acne. Why do you have acne? Because you're eating like crap. You're eating the
Right.
standard American diet. You're eating a box of Wheaties. You're eating snacks. You're probably drinking sodas. We're doing all of those things, and your skin is screaming, "Let me out!"
Right.
Your skin is always kind of a indicator of what's going on within. So back then, if we would have had a little more knowledge, you gotta go, you know what, we might need to change that kid's diet because he's breaking out in this great big weird rash. And
Yeah.
and so anyway, but the answer was always another pill and
Yeah,
mask the problem.
And I think I lived under the deception even then is that I was, I'm not exaggerating when I say that, especially in the summers with the basketball courts, programs, working 2 jobs, and I'm like, oh, I'm active.
Right.
I'm playing basketball like a madman, trying to get good at that time. It was
Sure.
a really important thing for me. I'm running at night because when the rain would come and it was the warm rain, so I go running.
Yeah.
But I'm also eating 2 or 3 peanut butter jelly sandwiches, a box of Wheaties, and my dad's making full course meals. I'm eating cereal at breakfast. I'm just in the whole time. I'm like, I'm eating Wheaties. I'm totally eating an athlete's diet, you
Right.
know.
Yep.
And it really, to this day, I'm probably paying for it a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Again, when you want to kind of look backwards to where we were, we thought we were eating healthy. And, you know, how many times did we have carbo load meals for our athletes? We gave them pastas and French bread and all the carbs they could load before a game. And the truth is, yes, your muscles, it is quick, fast energy, but your body makes all of the glucose it needs. We don't have to eat glucose or sugar. Your body makes it. So again, when you're adding all this excess in, we're really jacking with the pancreas and the insulin levels. So at a young age, most of us probably have insulin that's way high because our body is trying to do that self-regulating thing.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the solution, and we've gotten off subject a little bit. We'll
Okay.
get back to cholesterol, but you know, and just share again, my testimony would be that I probably felt a lot of shame over the years because I couldn't figure out what the answer was.
Yeah.
And not realizing that it's from, you know, that lifestyle that I thought I could maintain and not have to change. But it's really the last 10 years have been eye-opening. But I walked in a lot of shame in my 40s for what happened to me.
Well, being in the weight loss industry, shame is huge. And actually, I was just talking to a gal today, and her husband, though he doesn't have a weight issue, he definitely has insulin resistant issues, and he's always kind of nodding off. And she goes, I just get so mad at him. He just falls asleep on me. And she's mad at him because of a biological problem that he can't control. No different than she's mad at herself because she got to that goal weight and now she's heavy again. And she beating herself up because she should be there. But she's using wrong information. And I guess that's the empowering part of why I love doing what I get to do is educate people. So now you know what to do.
Yeah.
And back to the solution. So the solution is this simple tea is going to lower your inflammation. It's going to soften those cells that have been resistant so they open up. It's going to help you not have all the cravings and the low energy crashes so you don't feel like you have to eat all the time. So when you're not eating, you drink this simple packet 2 a day, and that's going to keep those blood sugars level, lets your pancreas rest, lets the insulin come down. Then when you do eat, you want to focus on protein, fiber, healthy fats, and if you're going to have a piece of fruit or carbs, have them at the end of your meal so it doesn't spike your blood sugar. And then before your largest meal, you're going to take some extra fiber. This 7 to 9 combination of soluble and insoluble fiber. Fiber also grabs onto things in our bloodstream and helps wash things out of our system, like even heavy metals and those sorts of things that are being we're all getting. Fiber is going to be the ticket to get those things out. So getting those, that's the protocol. We say it's cost you about $5 a day. It's less than $2 a packet, which is cheaper than any drink you can buy at the gas station. It's going to, as you see on the chart, can you see that? Put the chart back up there. You'll see that we're in fat storing and damage mode on the standard American diet, and we're spiking and dropping. Then we feel low energy, lethargic, and we need to eat again. So every 2 hours, they've got us eating every couple hours, keeping that metabolism going. When in reality, if we can see on the bottom part, when we add the intermittent fasting, you're actually in fat burn in relief mode. We're actually eating from the pantry. It's not that we're not eating, we're not starving, we're eating our own storage. And many of us have lots of storage.
Right. Well, let's. I think this is a good transition to the testimony.
Yeah, great one.
We have a great one today, and it's a acquaintance of mine. I've really, but Kathy knows her much better and is, asked her for a testimony today. So it's a good time to share it. So let's watch this and enjoy.
My name is Shannon Davis. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been one for 20 years. Throughout my entire career of helping people, no one ever got better. No one thrived. People just existed. I've worked in corporate. I did organ transplant. I did bariatrics. The majority of my career was in nephrology and dialysis. And then I did 5 years in pharmaceutical sales. Throughout my entire career, I always worked for someone. I showed up at work. I did A, B, C, or D. Always my dream was to run my own business, truly saving lives. I just didn't have the income to jump ship. I didn't have the business acumen. I didn't have a clientele, and I didn't have anything to leverage. I was introduced to Unicity in 2022. I got on the product myself, had blood work done so they could have objective data, which we prefer, and I was blown away. My triglycerides went from 250 down to 50 in 8 weeks. From then I was sold. I was given a vehicle to build my own business. They taught me how to do social media. I had none. They take care of shipping and handling. I'm part of an amazing team that, guess what, builds me up with there is no cap. And the best part of all of this, I am saving lives. So because I make a living saving lives, can you ask for anything better? I needed direction, I needed guidance, but I needed a vehicle that worked. We have plenty of people that need help. We just need a way. Unicity was my way.
I so love that. And can you believe her triglycerides went from 250 to 50 in 8 weeks on this protocol? Was a professional athlete as well, but did not realize that the foods that she was eating, she was able to burn off all her calories, but the foods that she was eating were actually causing that imbalance that you and I talked about. And I also love, so I came across Shannon in a podcast. Another friend of mine had her on a podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's speaking my language. I loved her energy, and I'm like, I want to be a part of that. So as I got to know Shannon, she opened the door to that vehicle and said, jump in, Kath, let's go. Yeah. And so in 2024, when I heard about the Unicity, and I had the opportunity, it's been awesome. It's been, I've not looked back. This last week we had kids and grandkids here, and just to be able to work my life around my business instead of the other way around, or the business, or however that goes.
Does it own you or you own it?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it's been a really amazing journey. I'm learning so much about so much more. Like I said, I was in the weight loss industry, so I knew about obesity. I just didn't know about all the other stuff that was connected to it. So I'm excited to be learning that and sharing it. And the other great thing about this protocol is we are so convinced that you are going to love it. They call it the Feel Great system, that you will have some measurable results. They're going to give you 90 days trial, and they do 90 days because that's how often your cells reduplicate, and you're going to get the full benefits in 90 days to know what it's doing for you. At the end of 90 days, you feel like you're that one person it's not going to work for, and you want to get your money back. The company says, okay, have your money back. You need to give it a good adult try. And so anyway, it's a pretty cool company to be a part of. And
yeah, well, I just put up a slide. This really goes through some of the, a lot of the information we cover quite a bit and all the different subject matters, but it breaks down kind of the process and the products. And then there's a QR code there for the best price. And then Kathy's phone number is there as well. Contact her at any time. She would love to visit with you. And as you can tell, she just has just a lot of energy for this and cares deeply about it. But again, we know that we got to get this product into as many hands as possible, because there's 93% of the people are dealing with some serious problems and really aren't getting to the root. They're dealing with the last thing they see. Yep. So it's really kind of deceiving in the sense of, oh, I'm going to take care of my weight loss, but you don't realize the root. So that's what we keep hoping to encouraging you to get to the root, you know. So any final thoughts on cholesterol before we kind of close out?
Well, I don't know if it's on cholesterol, but if you take the top 5 drugs in the United States that most people are on, it encompasses 270 million people.
Wow.
And those top 5 drugs are really all lifestyle caused, which means they can be lifestyle reversed.
Right. As we close out the show, you know, you're realizing that cholesterol is a natural process that's occurring in the body, and it's being interrupted by a diet onset ridiculousness, which Kathy was just mentioning. The diet needs to be looked at hard, and God has created some natural processes in our bodies to build our cells, make them strong, disease resistant, you know, all the things like that. But if you're out there and you're feeling stuck, you know, I use that word quite a bit because I talked to quite a few people just in business that are stuck, that they don't know how to move forward. And I know for a fact, when I mentioned earlier about the shame part for me, it was real. I felt stuck, like there was no way I was going to get out of this at age 49. I remember getting on a scale and weighing 295. I was shocked and just realized I had to make a change. So the last 10, 11 years have been life-changing for me and all that we've learned. And there is hope. And I just want to end the show today with that and just encourage you that there are answers, and you need to do your own research to be your own best advocate, and just figure out, there's ways to figure out how to get back to that homeostasis, that balance, that healthy spot, the well within part that everyone wants. And I think there's hope for that. And if you're stuck, I actually will encourage you to reach out to Kathy, follow the QR code, do the 90-day challenge, and you won't regret it. It's not just trying things. It's actually kind of digging in and learning on your own and realizing that a lot of this has come on from just cultural diet fads that it last 56 years, how we've changed everything. And, and really we can turn this around. So any final thoughts from you, Kathy?
Nope, just that I'm excited. You know, when you start hearing testimonies of people, we all of a sudden doubt that that's true because we've been so programmed to make sick normal. And so I want to make getting better and healthy normal, getting texts all the time. Hey, I can get my wedding ring off without soaking my finger. I'm getting my pants on. I can bend over. I'm back to exercising. I have energy. I'm not sleeping all day. You know, those sorts of things are exciting for me. To know that I'm helping people, I have a purpose, and I myself can feel really great. So
yeah,
join the rage.
The testimonies are almost endless. I hear a lot of them. You hear more of them. It just seems too good to be true, and it also seems like that you always start off doubting because it seems too simple, right? You hear that, and really it is. It really, the body's amazing. It can respond to just simple changes.
I was talking to a gal today, and she's been a part of some of the different programs that I've done that have always been a little complicated, and you got to do it just like this and just like that, and you got to journal and you got to put this in there. So actually, when I found this, it almost made me mad because, like, really? Is that simple? Like, let's keep it simple. And so now learning to embrace simple, as I was talking to her, I said, well, how about this protocol? Well, I think I should be doing, and she just wanted to keep adding more legalistic things to it. And I think I could see it when she understood the simplicity of it. Like, oh, that's so freeing. And I think of the scripture that says, my yoke is easy. And we always really want to work harder, and then feel like somehow I deserved something. And so when we see people that we think look healthy and they get sick, we're like, oh man, they don't deserve that. But it's ignorance a lot of times.
Right.
Like, people perish for lack of knowledge.
Right. Well, as we close the show, I just love these shows and I enjoy doing them. I always tell Kath I can't wait till Thursday we get the chance to do this because it is encouraging for us to try to encourage others. And it really is part of what we're trying to do here in terms of the podcast and just talking about these subjects. And I always try to end with this idea of being your own best advocate in life in terms of, we need to read books, learn a language. I always encourage these same things about every time I do a show because they're important. If you're not developing at the core who you are to be improving yourself, reading and learning about business, health, character, work ethic, whatever area in your life, that you need to work on, you need to be really being a studier and a lifelong learner about your own life. In the Pioneer podcast, we talk about how pioneers start every story. And I also have this comment, I say pioneers are the pioneers of their own life. So become a pioneer. Step out of what you know, and if you're stuck, go into those other areas and start learning, and you really can do this. You can get out of this. And then I always try to, anymore, I'm starting to try to recommend a book. And I want to end with recommending The Mountain Is You. Self-sabotage as a coping mechanism. You say you want to lose weight, and then at the end of the process you didn't, but somewhere in that process you sabotage the very thing you say you wanted it, but there's self-sabotage as a coping mechanism, and you realize the mountain is you. You are the obstacle. And some of the quotes I've had on here before is "The obstacle is the way" by Marcus Aurelius. So you are the way to get through to the other side to have results. I just want to encourage you with that, and it's totally possible to turn your life around, get unstuck, and we offer you that hope and encouragement. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe and like. It just helps the show. Again, we're getting a lot of play on these health ones for sure, but just helps if you subscribe and like and hit the notification, because it helps grow the show. Thanks for coming, and see you next week.